In this video, I will talk about the Postflop Trainer tool in Range Trainer Pro. There are a number of ways that you can open the Postflop Trainer. One way is if you are using the Preflop Trainer and decide to play a hand postflop. To do that, you check the See a Flop checkbox. Then you make your preflop decision. And the first thing it asks you for is what we're going to do preflop. So we have been open raised by middle position, and with 7-5 suited, let's go ahead and make the call. We got our little ding. We have a score of 1. It told us we're correct. Last hand, 7-5 suited. You call 100% of the time. So now the action is on the big blind. We got the second pair of fives. Otherwise, we didn't really connect with this very much. We're probably still a little bit ahead here. Let's go ahead and check like you normally do to the pre-flop raiser. And middle position bet 25, which is 25% of the flop. So now what do we do? Well, with this pair, we're not folding right now. So I'm going to go ahead and make the call. And it told us we're correct. Now another card comes out, a 9. Not too bad for a range, not great, but let's go ahead and do another check call. We checked. This time middle position bet 101 out of what looks like was 150, so he bet about 2/3 of the pot. And should we call with our third pair now? Well, let's see what it says if we call. And it told us we're correct. On the river comes an ace. So we haven't improved at all, and that card hit our opponent better. But let's just see what happens if we check call again. That way we can look at the history and see what it has to say. So we check. It told us we're correct. Our score is up to 6 now. And now MP2 is betting 352, so that's a pot-sized bet on the river. So I'm going to call just to see how we come out. We can raise all in, or we can call, or we can fold. And we got the buzzer, and it told us we're wrong. It went on to the next hand. So now our score went down. So let's take a look at our history. I'm going to click History, and you'll notice how we've got several items in a row under Hand that are all the hand that we just played. They're in reverse order, so post-flop was false pre-flop, but then after that, everything is true for post-flop. Let's have a look at what we did wrong. We have a view link, just like we did before we used the Postflop tool. It tells us that here's our board: Jack of spades, 5 of hearts, 2 of hearts, 9 of diamonds, ace of spades. That's the range of hands that we started with. Seat is in the big blind with 80 big blinds. The middle position's action was open raise, and then the villain action on this river was to bet 352, which, as we said, was a 100% pot. So we called, and the result was wrong. Let's view it. So here's our range. We were at 7-5 of diamonds, and we were supposed to fold 100% of the time. Let's take a look at one of these mixed strategies. Let's say it said it was a 9 and 5. I click on 9-5 suited, and we have our individual hand breakdown, our individual combo breakdown. And it tells us that if we had had 9 and 5 of spades, we are always checking. If we had had 9 and 5 of clubs, we are always betting all in. Then to get out of this, we just hit cancel. And then to get out of the history, we X out of it. Range Trainer Pro is still loading databases. What happens if your training scenario is not yet supported? Okay, I've got a pop-up that says, sorry, no flops for this spot. You can request that we solve it for you. As we've spoken about earlier, this is a work in progress. They're adding new situations, new databases all the time. They don't have databases yet for when the button is responding to a single action from the cutoff. There are a couple other ways to navigate to the post-flop trainer. We have already reviewed entering the post-flop trainer from the pre-flop trainer by checking the See a Flop checkbox. We have another way to navigate from the pre-flop trainer to the post-flop trainer. We hit the Select Ranges to Train button. This takes us to the range selector. You can think of this window as your gateway between the pre-flop and post-flop trainers. Let's hit the database button. It brings up the database selector. If we select middle position versus big blind, for example, in the 80 big blind single raise pot, it opens up the post-flop trainer. It shows us the pot size up here, and it gives us our first hand of the drill and our first flop. To navigate from the post-flop tool to the post-flop trainer, hit the range trainer menu. It takes us to the range selector. Hit the database button, and then select the desired database that we will train on. It takes us directly to the post-flop trainer without the pre-flop trainer in it. This takes us to the version of the post-flop trainer that you get when you navigate directly to it instead of using the See a Flop option in the pre-flop trainer. This version skips the pre-flop decisions and takes you directly to a flop. This way you can drill more post-flop decisions per hour than you could if you had to go through the pre-flop steps. Most of the controls and images in the post-flop trainer work the same as the pre-flop trainer. The buttons for our decisions adapt to the conditions of the hand. One notable difference is that there is no hard mode that brings up a weight slider. The other notable difference is the switch to OOP, out of position toggle. You can see right now that we are on the button and our opponent is in the big blind. If we want to play the big blind in this position instead, we hit this toggle, it thinks, and now you can see that we are in the big blind and our opponent is the button. It says switch to in position here. I can switch it back and we are now back to being on the button. If we get an answer wrong, it will proceed to the next hand in the drill with a new hand for us and a new flop. So I've switched us to being the out of position player in the big blind. You can see that I switched us here. We've got 8-6 offsuit and there's a queen 10-10 flop. I'm going to go ahead and lead out here for 2/3 of the pot and let's see what it does when we get a wrong answer. I did that, it buzzed, we got a wrong answer, we were wrong. Our score decreased from 3 to 2 and it has taken us to a new hand. However, if we continue to give right answers, it'll keep the hand going through all the streets or until the hand ends. So let's go ahead and do that. We're on the button with a pair of queens and we get this flop. Let's make a small bet here after the big blind is checked to us. We got that right. Now we have a turn, 2 of clubs, a blank. The big blind is checked to us again. Let's make another small bet. We got that one right. And now we're seeing a river, and we've got a choice of a bunch of bet sizes here. Let's go ahead and make a bet of 112, which is half the pot. It told us we're wrong. But the hand is ended and we've moved on to the next hand. The Select Ranges to Train button takes us back to the range selector. We use this button if we wish to open the Preflop range trainer, or if we wish to work within a different database within the Postflop trainer. This is our gateway between the Preflop and Postflop trainers. This database button here will allow us to select a different database and continue working Postflop, or we can select any of these Preflop ranges and start training Preflop. There's one more way to open the Postflop trainer, and that is if we are in the Preflop trainer and want to stop training on Preflop ranges and go right to the Postflop trainer. First of all, we uncheck, if necessary, the See a Flop checkbox, and then we hit the Select Ranges to Train button, our gateway. Let's choose a database. Takes us to the database selector, and we can choose another database. Let's just pick one at random, like right here. And we are back into the post-flop trainer without the See a Flop checkbox. And in this trainer, we will not need to go through the pre-flop stages of hands, and then we could get more post-flop action per hour that way. There are a few other tools that we can look at from Range Trainer Pro. Let's take a look at the Tools drop-down menu. And you can see that we have 3 items here. Let's look at hand history first. And here is our training history per hand. You can see that the 7-5 of diamonds hand that we studied earlier, you can see by the color coding which hands were done correctly and which were incorrect. Incorrect is red, correct is blue. This color coding is to draw our attention to where we might need further study. So the 7-5 of diamonds we got correct all the way through until the river when we check called and we were supposed to check fold. So let's expand that, and it says 7-5 of diamonds. The raise of all in was 0%, call 0%, and fold 100%. It says we were facing an open raise, middle position open raise. We can look at the range here with the view link, and it just tells us the information about this particular street. It doesn't tell us about the entire hand. It tells us just about our action on the street, our final action on the street, I should say, because we had 2 actions on the street. We checked right here, and the result was correct when we checked. But then when we faced a raise from middle position, we called. Our answer was called. The result was wrong. The correct answer was to fold 100% of the time. So let's go ahead and collapse these. You wouldn't really have to because I'm going to close it. And let's have a look at the session history. It gives the date and time of all our sessions and the results. And they're numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But they're actually, as you can see, they're done in reverse chronological sequence here. And this just basically gives us our session history. We can use these to determine our progress in our training. Are we getting worse? Are we getting better? It just gives us a general idea, a general overview of our training progress. So now I'm going to go ahead and close the session history and open the random number generator. And this is very simple. It's very self-explanatory. You can select a minimum and maximum for your random number generator and hit run. Boom, we got 62. And you can just do that over and over again. I wouldn't recommend using this at a poker table, but when we're drilling, we can use this to try and get our weights as accurately as we can. And if we want to use a random number generator to do that, say we want to use a mixed strategy during our drilling here. And we're going to go, say 1 through 50 is going to be a call, 51 through 100 is going to be a raise. So I'm going to hit run. It's 54, so we're going to do a raise. And this is just how you use the random number generator. This concludes my videos on the Range Trainer Pro Tool. In them, I have covered the pre-flop version of the tool and the post-flop version. I hope you will find these videos helpful as you continue on your poker journey. If you like these videos, please give them a like and subscribe to my channel. Share the videos with your friends, and please leave a comment. I'll close here with a quote from Louis Pasteur. Fortune favors the prepared mind. Thank you for watching, and good luck at the tables.